Hey guys, welcome to the Freedom Foundations program. My name is Brady Mingarelli, and I'm the owner of Freedom Performance here in Prescott, Arizona. I'm so excited that you chose to join me on this journey through this program to elite performance. What we're going to do today is acceleration, and what we're going to start with is a warm-up, and then we'll get into the running, and then we'll get into the lifting portion. With everything that we do, keep in mind there's always modifications for everything. So if there's something you don't feel comfortable with, please, we can modify it. Everything in the video should show you modifications throughout, but if something doesn't, just skip it for now and we'll go back to it to make sure that you can do it effectively so you can achieve proper performance with great form and not get hurt. Okay, the best progression is always a great regression to make sure you're doing it properly. Today, like I said, we're going to work on acceleration, so you can follow along with the warm-up video. We'll go from the warm-up to the run and to the lift. The warm-up has 3 parts. You have the thermogenics, then you get the muscle stretch and flex, then we do some band work, and then you'll do some movement prep for getting really good at accelerating fast. So again, I'm so excited that you are joining this program with me. Let's follow along and let's get great together and get elite performance so we can have freedom on the field. Go ahead, let's get started. So the first exercise we're going to work on today on acceleration day for the warm-up is called the A-skip. With the A-skip, what it's working on is your arm drive, your leg drive, and your foot position when you accelerate. Your foot position should be locked up and not have a floppy foot. The floppy foot doesn't allow much force to be generated into the ground, which is where your acceleration or your speed comes from. So what you're going to do is you're going to keep your toe up as you propel yourself forward about 20 yards and back. It should look about like this. As you can see, my toe is locked up, it's not hitting the ground with a floppy foot, and that way it propels my hip forward, which uses my hip to accelerate and not using anything in my foot or ankle, which could help me lose force. So let's try that 20 yards down, 20 yards back. All right, so this next one is called the A-skip with 2 hops as opposed to just 1. So what you're going to do is you're going to do the same thing, but just hop twice off each leg, working on propelling through your hip each time. So it should look about like this. Coming back. All it is working on hopping twice off that leg. Again, working on the hip propulsion as you run. Give it a try, 20 yards and 20 yards back. So this next one is called the B-skip. It's like the A-skip again, however you're going to extend your leg out, boom, and strike the ground. Again, when I extend out and snap the ground, I come underneath my base, and I'm not extending out in front of my body. So it'll look about like this. One thing that's commonly done that's wrong when doing the B-skip is extending out too far and slapping the ground with a floppy foot. You want to be coming through and striking the ground underneath your base. So give it a try, 20 yards down, 20 yards back again. This next one's called the power skip. What you're going to do is you're going to accelerate and jump off one leg as high as you can, alternating all the way down, 20 yards again and 20 yards back. And make sure your arms are in phase with your opposite arm, mimicking running form. This should look about like this. Notice how I'm not being lazy with my arms. I'm driving them up each time and trying to hold the pose like I'm accelerating. Do that, give it a try. So this last exercise is part of the thermogenics, the last part of this initial part of the warm-up. It's called a hamstring kicker. It's different from the butt kicker. A butt kicker is commonly seen when your knee stays low and your heel comes and strikes your butt. What the hamstring kicker is trying to do is trying to mimic running form again, where my knee comes forward and then my heel comes to my butt. Again, heel comes forward, it then hits my butt. So it should look more like this. As you can see, my knee's driving up and then my heel strikes my butt like you should be doing when you're sprinting, not a lazy butt kicker, which doesn't have much function when we talk about sprinting fast. So let's go 20 yards down, 20 yards back with that. So now we're moving on to the next part of the warm-up. We're done with thermogenics. Now we're going to go into muscle stretch and flex. and then activation. Okay, so first part of muscle stretch and flex is we're gonna do a forward lunge. Big chest, step forward with one leg, alternating all the way down, 20 yards, stop, and then we'll do the next one. Go ahead. Be toy soldiers, opposite leg to the opposite toe. Again, 20 yards, all the way back to the start. Next one will be the world's greatest stretch. You step forward with one leg, elbow to instep. I'm going to rotate towards my knee. I'll stand up after that one and move into the next one. Again, 20 yards with this one as well. Next two is a glute pull or cradle stretch. 10 yards. Then the next 10 after that is going to be the inchworm. I'm going to stand up tall and walk my feet to my hands and then do it again. Stretching out your calf. Give it a try. All right, so for the next part of the warm-up, it's going to be called activation to get your hips and your hip flexors activated so they can do the work necessary to accelerate at a fast rate. What you're going to need is just a simple TheraBand or any band that adds some resistance. It doesn't need to be too crazy taut, but I use the TheraBand. I just buy it online, pretty simple, Amazon. What you're going to do is you're going to put on your feet like this so it goes around your shoelaces here. I'm going to stay low. I'm going to step out 10 yards like this. You should feel a major burn on your hip. Watch what I'm not doing. I'm not doing is letting my knee cave in as I step. I'm leading with my knee, so I always have my knee in line with my toe. I'm going to do that for 10 yards. When I get to 10 yards, we're going to do some marching in place. 10 marches in place, and then hold for 10 seconds. Same thing on the other leg, 10 marches in place, then hold. Then you're going to walk back to the start. Again, 10 marches in place with a hold, 10 marches in place with a hold, and that will conclude the portion of the activation. Okay, now we're moving on to the movement prep part of the warm-up, which is getting you ready to accelerate, which we're going to do very shortly. First, we're going to do what's called quick response jumping. This one's really challenging, so give yourself a break if you don't get it the first time. It takes a little while. What you're going to do again is focus on the principle of keeping your toe up as you jump. And you're going to keep alternating and move yourself down 20 yards and back. Again, you're jumping up off one leg, and as opposed to skipping, your feet are hitting at the same time. I'm jumping off my ground with my balls of my feet up. I'm not hitting my heel. I'm working on my toe up, propelling myself with my hip. You're going to do that 20 yards down and back, and then we'll move on. Give it a try. All right, so the next one is called circling the ankles, okay? So now we're really moving our legs and trying to get ready to run. So my foot goes over my ankle and strikes the ground underneath my base, okay? So it's going to be like you're riding a tiny little bicycle, moving your feet up and over your ankle and striking it underneath your base. Just like that, moving your feet quickly, not long strides, quickly, and not stepping out in front of you, right underneath your base. 20 yards down, 20 yards back. Give it a try. These next two are similar to the first one. We're just going to raise our foot up just a little bit more, okay? So circling the shin now, up and over your shin. Same thing, keeping your toe up. Again, moving 20 yards down and back, striking underneath your base like always. Give it a try. This last one is the most important as it teaches you how to strike underneath your base to propel yourself forward. It's called circling the knee. Again, similar concept, up and over your knee now though, way up and over. Here's something you don't want to see happen, is my chest collapse, my hip go into posterior tilt, and I lose energy through my spine. So what I want to do is keep my pelvis upright, my back flat, up and over. Again, not extending out in front of my base, which would slow myself down as I accelerate. Up and over your knee and strike underneath as you propel yourself forward. 20 yards down and back.